Today I will share how to configure NAT and security policies in Palo Alto. This is a continuation video of basic interface configuration. But before we start, let's go first on the network setup again. In this laboratory, we will going to configure the NATing and security policies because currently this PC is not able to reach the interface. Although we already have a virtual routing here, but by default on this firewall, which is Palo Alto, it will not going to be permitted because there is a rule in here. If it is from trust to untrust, which is interzone, any traffic will not going to be permitted. But if it is the same or it is in the same trust zone, for example, this is a trust 1 and we do have a trust 2, traffic will be permitted. That is the default rule. If we are going to look on the policies, here we do have a intrazone default and interzone default. These two policies, you are not able to delete it. Yep, if you are going to look on intrazone, this one is allowed. The action for this one is allowed. Here. Yep. And then we will also going to discuss, for example, we do have a user in here. This user will going to connect in our network, which is in here. Let's assume this FTP server. So if this user will going to go on this FTP server, it will going to go first on this specific interface, which is the public IP in the real world, and then it will be NATed going to this FTP server. So let's start on the discussion of the configuration. The first thing that we need to do is to configure the NAT policy. So you're already on the policies. So go on the NAT. NAT, and then just click add. Taking too long to respond. Okay, let's put some name in here. Student sourcenet. Then you can put whatever description that you want. Then let's go on the original packet. Original packet would be the trust, because we are going to reach from Truss Interface going to untrust interface. So this will be the source. This one, the one that we are currently doing right now, is from this guy going to the internet. Then for the destination zone, untrust. Destination interface would be the external interface, which is the sub interface. Then we need to go on the translated packet. For the translation type, as you can see, we do have dynamic IP and port, dynamic IP or static IP. We're going to use dynamic IP and port. address type, we just need to add translated address. Address type, it should be interface address. Okay, interface would be external. IP address would be 22.1. Then just click OK. After we configure the NAT, the next thing that we are going to do is the security policies. Okay, just click add in here if you want to add new rules. Then click just put a name in here. So in here we're going to permit everything. Source, what will be the source? It should be from the trust, and the destination. Actually in here, if you want to be specific, for example, if you have a lot of source address, you can specify it in here. Yeah, just put the specific IP address of the PC or a group of people in here. But for us, we're going to permit any. And then for destination, which is going to the internet, which is the untrust L3. Then destination address in here, it should be the same, where you are able to add a specific IP address. Then for the application, we're going to put any, the same with the service. Actually, in here, in this specific application, this is where you are able to block a specific application, port number. Same within here. For the action, yep, we're going to allow it. Then just click OK. Yep, actually we haven't do a commit yet in here. Let's do a quick test. Hold on. As you can see, since we are not doing any commit yet, if we are going to go to google.com on this PC, which is .50, yeah, we are not able to connect. .55, the one that we did on the past video. Okay. And then we are going to do the configuration on the FTP, the one that I discussed earlier. But let's do a quick commit first, so that you are able, let's see if, because we already did the policy going out to the internet. So by right, after we commit this one, we should be able to connect already to the internet. So just for a brief discussion, the one that we did earlier, we create first a NAT in here, and then we allow all the traffics from this guy, Truss, going to the internet. The next thing that we will do after we have a connectivity to the internet is, like I said earlier, there will be a user in here, and then it will going to connect in our FTP server. This one. Okay, configuration committed successfully. Let's try. By right, it should be working. Okay, as you can see right now, we already have a connectivity to the internet, If you want to verify, we can try to ping public DNS for the 2.2. Okay, we're all good. So now the next thing that we are going to do on this laboratory is we configure from internet user going to our internal, which is the FTP server. So in there we will need to create also NAT rule and security policy. Like we did earlier, we go to NAT, then click add. Service FTP. What is the destination port? Okay, hold on. Before I will going to create object services and then we will going to use it on the policy. Let's go first on the object. Where is services? Here. Then click add in here. Then service FTP. What is the destination port? 2021. Click OK. And then now we go let's go back again to NAT, because earlier we go directly to NAT. You will see the one that we configure in the object once we click add. It's just like we're creating a specific object group for port 20 and 21. So I will going to add here inbound dash FTP, which is coming from the internet. Then original packet would be, like I said, the source would be from internet, which is the untrust, and then for the destination, that would be the untrust also. Why? Because the specific interface should be the one facing to the internet. Here it will only go, the user will only able to reach up to this point, because for this specific interface, which is the Truss interface, this is private IP. There is no way on this lab that it is able to reach this specific interface, unless, for example, we configure a VPN in here for them to bypass the or go directly in our internal network. Okay, so let's go back on the lab. Okay, and trust, then the service. Here, this is the one that we created earlier, service FTP. Okay, and then just click the destination address. This is the interface of the firewall facing to the internet. Enter. Then we need to go to translated packet. Destination address translation. This is the translated address would be the IP address of your FTP server, which is internal to your network, which is 192.168.22.55. Let's check. Yeah. Yep. This. Yeah, as you can see, if you're going to analyze this one, this would be the original packet, right? Where it is the user will obliterate to reach this external interface 172.16.22.1, and then afterwards it will be translated. The translated address would be 192.168.22.55, which is the FTP server. Just click OK. Okay. After we create the NAT, we need to add again rules in the security tab. Just click add for a new rule. Which is inbound FTP dash policy, and then for the source, like I said earlier, it will be coming from the Truss. Destination would be from the Truss L3, which is the FTP server. For the destination address, 172.16.22.1. Enter. And then in the application tab, let's add, because we are going to permit FTP application only, right? So just click FTP in here. Then for the service, just leave it at default. Action would be allow. Then click OK. Okay, we're all done now. So all we have to do is to commit the configurations. While we are committing, I'm going to do some testing, because this one is we already did the same setup on the other student firewall. So let's just do some ping test. 172.16.23.1. Yep, as you can see, we are using 22.1 subnet, mean to say we are that is our internal network, and then this is the one that I ping. This is the external IP of the other student Palo Alto firewall. So by right, as you can see, it's already committed successfully. Earlier, before we did the NATing for this FTP server, we tried Google and we are already connected to the internet. And then, like I said earlier, we also configure another ASI firewall, the same configuration that what we did. So by right, from the PC that we are currently using, we should be able to FTP on that specific ASA that I configured earlier. Let's do an FTP. We are able to reach 172.16.23.1. Okay, it is not working. Hold on. Let's try another lab. Yeah, 21.1, sorry, that is the network that we should reach. 172.16.21.1. So if you want, we can go on that specific firewall. Let's do RDP MSTSC so that you are able to see. Let's end the session. Exit. Quit. Okay. Let's do a remote session on that firewall so that we are able to verify. Select 121. Okay. Connect. Let's do some verification if FTP is working. As you can see, what we did is from this user 122, we did a FTP session. Hold on. Okay. It's lagging on the firewall. By the way, let's do a test in 172.16.22.1. This is our external interface, right? So let's just verify if our interface is working or not. 172.16.22.1. Yep, as you can see, it is working, right? Okay, so the one that we configure is working perfectly. Quit and let's go back in the firewall that we configured earlier rather than checking the firewall that I configured. Where is it? Hold on. Okay, let's go in here. Let's go. By the way, if you want to do a checking on the traffic, you should just go on the monitor and then go here in the traffic. You should be able to see those. Let's just do some refresh here. Okay, we did a ping earlier, right? Yeah, here. This is the session that we did earlier. As you can see, inbound FTP, it is allowed. So in here in this monitoring tab, we are able to confirm that the FTP is working because earlier in 172.16.22 or on the other side of the firewall, different firewall, we did a FTP session. So it's been lagged in here. Okay, actually we can click. Let's see if we're able to see the details. No, this one is just for filtering. Okay, as you can see, all our testing is working perfectly. So that's all for NAT and security policies. Thank you guys. Today I will share how to configure basic interface in Palo Alto Firewall. But before we go on the configuration on the firewall, I will discuss first the current network setup on this laboratory. As you can see, we do have a firewall in here where we have the Truss Interface, which is same as the inside interface in Cisco, and Truss Interface, which is the same with the outside interface, which is facing to the internet. And I am connected to this firewall using this PC through this management interface, and later we're going to configure this ETH 1/2 and ETH 1/1.200 sub interface. So in here, as you can see, we will also going to configure a Dhcp server on the firewall, and this will provide the IP address on this PC. The first thing that we are going to configure is the zone, which include the truss interface and the untruss interface. After that, we are not going to discuss that one on this laboratory. That would be this PC should be able to go on the interface, and then on that specific laboratory we will need to configure the NAT in here, because as you can see in here, in the real world scenario, this outside interface or the untruss interface, this should be a public IP, and then on the truss interface, which is the inside, this is a private IP address. So if this PC will need to reach the internet, it will go into pass through on the firewall and need to be NATed in order to reach the internet. Okay, so let's go now on the firewall to start the configuration. The first step that we need to do is we need to configure the zone, like I have said earlier. So we need to go on the network. Then as you can see, these are the zones. We just need to click add. Then let's configure first the untruss interface. And then as you can see, we do have a type in here, but we are going to use a layer 3. Then just click OK. We need to add now the truss interface, which like I said earlier, this is the same as the inside interface in Cisco, but in here it is working differently, because in Cisco ASA, as you could remember, we need to define security in there, which is the higher the security, it will not able to pass the traffic, right? For example, if you have a 0, which is actually the one facing to the internet, and your network is 100, 0 going to 100, it will going to be permitted to that interface. That is for Cisco, but in here it's working differently. You are able to see that later. We're done with the configuration and the network zones. So now we are also going to configure a management profiles. If we are going to go on the diagram, like I have said earlier, we are currently configuring here, but some of the company in the real world, they want to have the management on this interface. So that is the time that we will going to configure manually the profile management on the firewall, so that the client or any user in here will able to access on this interface based on the requirements. Okay, in there we also need to go to the network and then network profiles under interface management. Yes, then we need to click add, do allow management, MGD. We're going to include ping SSH. By the way, for the management of Palo Alto Firewall, ping SSH and HTTPS is by default. Okay, And let's add another one. This profile management, we will put this one on the Truss interface, so that only ping is will be allowed. Ping only. Okay. After we configure the zones and the interface management, the next thing that we are going to configure is the interfaces. Yep, in order to configure the interface, we need to go on the Ethernet. Then, as you can see, this is the interface. So, what is our internal interface? Let's go back on the diagram. Okay, our internal interface is ETH12. This one. Click this one. As you can see, it is configured to layer 2, and we need to change it to layer 3. Layer 3. Then this, since this is the inside interface, we will put this one on the Truss L3, which is the Truss zone. And then we're going to configure the IP addresses. Just click on the IPv4 tab, and then click add. 192.168.22.1/24. Just click enter. Then we're going advanced, so that we are going to add the management profile that we created earlier. For this one, we're going to put the allow management, which includes ping, HTTPS, and SSH. And just click OK. Then we need to click the outside interface or the external interface, which is Ethernet 1.1. If you will look on this network setup, as you can see, this one should be configured as a sub interface. So in here, we just need to put this interface type on in layer 3. Click OK. And then in order for us to configure a sub interface, first highlight this interface, which I already did, and just click the add sub interface. Yep, this is the layer 3 sub interface. All we have to do is to put the tagging in here, which is 222. Just make it the same, so that for troubleshooting purposes. Then this one is Truss L3, since this is the one that is facing to the internet. IPv4, click static, and then add the IP address, which is 172.16.22.1/24. Enter, and then go to advanced like we did earlier to choose for the management profile. Allow ping. Only ping will be allowed on this outside interface or external interface. Then click OK. Okay, we already configured the the interface. The next thing that we should configure in here is the virtual routers for routing, and just need to click the virtual routers on the left side and click add. Okay, in here just put a name, student BR. Then in here on the general tab, we need to add the interfaces, which is 1, 2, and the sub interface. It should be the sub interface because it is where the layer 3 is configured, or where the IP address is configured. Then go to static routes. Hold on. Okay, static routes, then just click add. We're just going to use the default route. Okay, destination would be, oh sorry, that's 0. Then select the IP address. Oh, interface. Cancel. Oh, hold on. Click it again. Default destination 0.0.0.0/0. And then IP address. Next hop would be 172.16.22.254. Click OK, and then just click OK. Here, as you can see, this is the next hop. So from the firewall going to the internet, if I want to go to internet, I need to define this next hop. Okay. Okay, we're done on the configuration of the interface, but like I said earlier, we will also going to do Dhcp server on this firewall, so that it will going to give an IP address on this PC. So if you are going to look on the PC right now, IP config, so that we are able to compare later, we do have 192.168.22.51. This is the current IP. Okay, we need to go to network, and where is the Dhcp? Here. Then just click add. Interface name. Hold on, internal interface. Yeah, it should be Ethernet 1.2, right? Mode, it should be enabled. Ping IP when allocating new IP, right? It should be, we should check this one so that there be no duplicate IP address. Let's do have a timeout, or at least 2 days or 3 days, whatever is on the policy. Then IP pools, we need to add pools in here, so that would be 192.168.22.50. to 192.168.22.60. Just click enter. Go to options tab. Here's the gateway. Gateway would be 192.168.22.1 and then /24 255.255.255.0 and just click OK. Yep, we're all done. So the next step that we should do is to commit the configuration. Actually, this Palo Alto Firewall, it is almost the same with Juniper's, where we need to commit so that the configuration that we did will going to take effect. Commit. Yep, actually we're all done. So the next thing that we need to do is to test the Dhcp server, but for the interface it is already configured. Hold on, as you can see there are some error in here. Yeah, as you can see it says 17.16.22 where it should be 172. So what is good in the commit, it will going to tell you the details if there is any failed result. We just need to go to network under virtual routers and then click this one again and look for the errors that it mentioned earlier, which is the here. Okay, just need to click this one and add. It should be 172.16.22.254. Click OK. Okay, and then let's do a commit again. Let's wait 70%. Almost done. Okay, as you can see, compared earlier, it is successfully committed. Hold on. Yeah, configuration committed successfully. Just close this one and we go on some testing. Let's do IP config again. Yep, we're still using 192.168.22.51. So for us to test, let's do a release renew. Let's see. Okay, enter. IP address should be 192.168.22.50 by right. Actually, while waiting, we can also check the network interface in here. Yeah, interfaces. Yep, all green. Let's see. Still using that 51. Let's ping the internal if it is working or not. 192.168.22.1. Yep, it's already working. But for the DHCP, actually we can verify. Just go to network and DHCP, view allocation. Yeah, it is using 192.168.22.51. Okay, so we're all good. But let's try to do another ipconfig release and renew again. Okay, wow, still using that 51. But if you want to change it to see that is perfectly working, we can go in here and then let's do some reconfiguration. Let's make this one as 55. Let's see what will happen. Enter and then okay. Then let's do another commit. Almost done, 99%. Okay, committed successfully. Let's check it again. If we do ipconfig in here, it should be still that 51, right? Because we configured the list for 2 days. So let's check. Let's do our release and renew. This should be 192.168.22.55 already. Waiting. You see? Now it is configured to 192.168.22.55. It means that our DHCP server is perfectly working. So if you are going to view the allocation in here, it's already 22.55. So we're all good. Thank you guys. Thank you for watching.